Welcome to Smart Listening Lab, a channel for learning English through podcasts. And welcome to the deep dive to the book and PDF format that we'll be touching upon is available right there in the video description. So today we're diving into something we all do, right? Often multiple times a week, ordering food at a restaurant. Now, if you're like me, you appreciate efficiency and, well, let's be honest, a bit of insider knowledge can make all the difference. So whether you're looking to save some time or maybe expertly navigate dietary needs or perhaps just, elevate your overall dining experience, this deep dive into restaurant ordering strategies is definitely for you. The sources we've looked into offer some really practical advice, stuff to help you feel more confident and maybe less overwhelmed the next time you're faced with a menu.
Absolutely. Yeah, ordering food might seem pretty straightforward, but when you actually think about it, there's a real opportunity to be more strategic and ultimately have a much better time. Our sources highlight several key areas where, a little bit of foresight and maybe proactive engagement can go a really long way.
Yeah.
They offer insights that go beyond just like the basic tips you might hear.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with something I personally find incredibly useful, pre-meal planning. Our sources really hammer home the power of checking the menu online before you even set foot in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's more than just browsing, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It might seem obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
But taking those few extra minutes can have a pretty significant impact. And it goes beyond just saving time at the table. Interestingly, restaurants often strategically place higher profit margin items right at the top of their digital menus.
Yeah.
So just being aware of that can help you navigate your choices more consciously and maybe, avoid those impulse decisions.
Right.
Plus, it allows for really thoughtful planning if you have any dietary restrictions or budget considerations.
Yeah.
Give you time to compare options without feeling rushed by the server standing there.
Exactly. And the online menu isn't just a static list anymore, is it? Many places now include details about specials, and you can often find sections highlighting like popular items or dishes that have received high ratings from other diners. It's almost like getting a bit of collective wisdom before you even order.
Which leads nicely into our next point, actually, leveraging the expertise of your server. They are, after all, on the front lines every single day. They have that firsthand knowledge of what's genuinely fresh and what customers are consistently raving about. It's that human element you just can't get from an online menu.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. I think sometimes we kind of treat servers just as order takers, but really, they can be a goldmine of information. The sources suggest asking specific questions like, what do most guests seem to love here? Or maybe, what do you recommend if I like spicy food? Or, in my case, what vegetarian options are particularly good tonight? But, are there any subtle ways to tell if a server genuinely loves a dish versus just, trying to upsell something?
That's a really good question. While servers might have incentives to promote certain items, you can often pick up on genuine enthusiasm. Look for specifics in their descriptions. Do they mention particular ingredients or preparation methods they seem to enjoy? A simple, oh, it's popular is, well, it's less convincing than something like, oh, the chef uses these locally sourced mushrooms in that dish, and the sauce has this really unique flavor.
I see. Specificity. Now, speaking of ingredients, this is obviously crucial, especially for anyone with allergies or dietary preferences. The sources really stress the importance of ingredient clarity. It's more than just knowing what's in something, right?
Absolutely. It's not always enough just to see vegetarian on the menu, for instance.
Yeah.
You might need to know if a dish contains dairy or nuts or something else. And it's not just about allergies either. Sometimes people just prefer their food prepared a certain way. So don't hesitate to ask how a dish is prepared. Is it grilled or is it fried? What kind of oil did they use? What's actually in the sauce? These details can make a huge difference in your dining experience and, well, your well-being. It's really about being an informed consumer.
Okay, here's a tip that I personally love. Strategic course splitting. The idea of sharing appetizers or even maybe main courses to sample more of what a restaurant has to offer, it feels like a bit of a culinary adventure.
Oh, it's a fantastic way to broaden your culinary horizons without, over-ordering or feeling stuffed. Plus, it can be a more social way to dine. Our sources point out that many restaurants are actually perfectly willing to split a dish for you in the kitchen if you just ask politely.
Oh, really? In the kitchen?
Yeah, often. It saves you the hassle of trying to awkwardly divide it yourself at the table, and honestly, it often leads to a better presentation too.
That's a great tip. Another aspect to consider, and this might seem less obvious maybe, is the importance of timing. When you choose to dine can actually impact your experience in some surprising ways.
That's absolutely right. Dining during those off-peak hours, like an early lunch or maybe an early dinner, can have several advantages. For one, the kitchen is often less rushed, which can mean fresher, more carefully prepared food
Yeah.
because the staff can, dedicate a bit more attention to each plate.
Makes sense.
And you're also more likely to receive better, more attentive service. Plus, the overall ambiance tends to be quieter and more relaxed. It can really elevate the entire experience.
Yeah, quieter is often good. Now, for those of us who like things just so, the sources offer some encouragement. Don't be afraid to customize, within reason, of course. What kind of customizations are generally okay to ask for?
Exactly. Within reason is key. Most restaurants totally understand that diners have preferences. Simple requests like asking for dressing on the side or holding the salt, maybe asking for a gluten-free option if they have it. Those are usually easily accommodated. It's always worth asking politely. I mean, the worst they can say is no, right? But more often than not, they'll probably be happy to help. It shows you're engaged with your meal.
This kind of ties into being mindful about portion sizes, too. We've all been there. A dish arrives and it's enormous. It could feed a small village. The sources advise really considering portion sizes when ordering. Why is this so important beyond just, avoiding food waste?
Well, it's a good reminder to order strategically, I guess. Perhaps start with less, maybe share an appetizer, and then order another dish if you find you're still hungry. This obviously prevents food waste, but it also lets you better savor the different courses, maybe have room for dessert. There's also that psychological thing, isn't there? Sometimes we feel compelled to finish everything on our plate, even if we're totally full, just because it's there. So ordering more mindfully can help avoid that feeling.
Good point. And after a hopefully delicious meal, there's one final step before you head out: double-checking the bill. It seems so simple, but why is it actually so crucial?
It's a small step, but yeah, it's important. Mistakes can definitely happen, especially when the restaurant is super busy. A quick scan of the bill can save you from overpaying due to, like, double charges or items you didn't actually order appearing on there. It's just good practice, really, to ensure accuracy before you pay.
Right. Okay, now let's maybe dive into some of those common restaurant challenges and how to navigate them a bit better. Our sources offer some really practical solutions here. For instance, dealing with a language barrier. That can feel quite daunting, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. Translation apps, though, can be a total lifesaver in this situation. And remember, many menus also include pictures or maybe numbers that you can just point to. Don't hesitate to use all the tools you have at your disposal just to ensure clear communication. Honestly, being prepared with the translation app on your phone can really ease the stress.
Yeah, good tip. What about those times when menu items are just unclear? Like the description doesn't really tell you what you're going to get. That can be quite frustrating.
That's another perfect opportunity to engage your server. Just ask for a more detailed description, or maybe ask for their recommendation based on what you generally like. They've likely tasted most of the dishes, or at least heard feedback, and can provide those valuable insights that the menu description might be lacking.
Okay, and unfortunately, sometimes dietary restrictions aren't properly respected. It happens. The sources offer advice on how to handle that kind of delicate situation. What's the best approach there?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. The key is really to politely but clearly remind the staff of your restrictions. And maybe ask for confirmation before the dish is prepared, or even as it's being served. It's much better to double-check up front, or even send something back immediately if it's wrong, than to receive a dish that you simply can't eat. Just be clear and concise about your needs.
Right, better safe than sorry. Long wait times can also be frustrating. What are some pro tips for dealing with that without seeming, overly impatient?
Well, politely asking for an estimated time of arrival, or ETA, for your food can help manage expectations, both yours and theirs. If it seems to be a recurring issue at a place you like, maybe consider calling ahead next time to make a reservation. Or even see if pre-ordering your meal is an option some places offer. Sometimes just knowing roughly how long the wait will be makes it feel less burdensome.
Hidden costs can also be an unwelcome surprise at the end of a meal. How can we try and avoid those unexpected expenses?
Always take a careful look at the menu for any notes regarding, like, service charges, cover charges, or specific taxes. Sometimes it's in the fine print. If it's not clear, definitely don't hesitate to ask your server up front before you order. Just knowing about these potential extra costs beforehand helps avoid any awkward surprises when the bill arrives.
Yeah, nobody likes those. And finally, sometimes the noise level or the overall ambiance just isn't what you're hoping for. Any suggestions there for still enjoying your meal?
If possible, you could politely request a quieter spot when you're first being seated. maybe near a corner or away from the bar. Alternatively, if the noise or the general vibe is consistently an issue at a place whose food you love, well, considering takeout might be a better option. That way you can enjoy the restaurant's food in a more comfortable setting for you.
True. Okay, let's shift gears slightly now and talk about how to actually find the best restaurants in an area in the first place. Our sources have a whole wealth of information on this. It's almost like becoming your own restaurant critic, isn't it?
Absolutely. And in today's digital age, we have so many tools right at our fingertips. It's incredible. Trusted apps and platforms are usually a great place to start. Google Maps, for example. It provides really detailed user reviews, info on peak hours, loads of photos of the restaurant and its dishes. It gives you a really comprehensive overview.
And Yelp, as sources point out, often offers sort of deeper dives into reviews and sometimes even ratings for specific dishes, which can be incredibly helpful when you have a particular craving, like you're looking for the best tacos or something.
Exactly. And for those traveling or maybe in tourist-heavy areas, TripAdvisor can be a really valuable resource. It aggregates reviews from a super wide range of travelers. And platforms like Zomato, OpenTable, or The Fork, depending on where you are not only great for finding restaurants, but also for actually making reservations and sometimes discovering deals, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, deals are good. I've also found Instagram surprisingly useful, actually. Searching by geotags for the area or relevant hashtags like, I don't know, hashtag best pizza in Rome or whatever, it can sometimes lead you to some real hidden gems that might not pop up immediately on the traditional review sites.
That's a great point. And beyond the digital world, let's not forget local recommendations. They're still incredibly valuable. Don't hesitate to ask locals, maybe hotel staff, your rideshare driver for their favorite spots, and just observing. A busy restaurant that's filled with locals is often a very, very good sign that the food is authentic and enjoyable.
Right, the busy locals test. The sources also highlight the importance of interpreting social proof, though. It's not just about the star rating, is it? What else should we be looking at?
Exactly. A high rating is good, but a high rating with hundreds or even thousands of reviews backing it up is generally more trustworthy than, say, a perfect score with only 5 reviews. And it's always a good idea to check the recent reviews. See if the current experience aligns with that overall rating. Trends can change, management can change.
Good point. Recency matters. And before you even decide to visit, the sources recommend checking the menu and photos online. What can we really glean from doing this?
Well, this lets you get a sense of the restaurant's authenticity. Does the food look like what you expect for that cuisine? Does it look appealing? You can also often see the plating style, get an idea of the portion sizes, which we talked about. And you can even sort of assess the overall cleanliness of the place based on photos shared by the restaurant and, importantly, by other diners.
Okay. Finally, evaluating the crowd itself. If you happen to walk by or look in, a packed restaurant, especially during peak hours and filled with locals, that often speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's a strong real-world endorsement. It suggests the restaurant is consistently doing something right and that it's a popular choice within the community, probably for good reason.
Makes total sense. And just to wrap things up, our sources also highlighted some bonus tools that can make dining out even easier. Things like Google Lens. How can that be helpful in a restaurant setting?
Oh, Google Lens is fantastic for instantly translating menus in foreign languages. You just point your phone's camera at the text and bam, you get a translation. It takes away so much guesswork and makes ordering much less stressful if you don't speak the language.
Wow. Okay. And for our listeners who might be vegan or vegetarian, there's Happy Cow. What does that offer specifically?
Happy Cow is basically a dedicated platform, a website, and an app for finding vegan and vegetarian-friendly restaurants all over the world. It can be a huge time saver when you have those specific dietary needs, especially when you're in an unfamiliar city or country.
Great resource. In the U.S., there's also Allergy Eats, mentioned as a great tool for finding restaurants known for being allergy-friendly. How does that one work?
Yeah, Allergy Eats uses user-generated ratings, so people sharing their experiences on how well different restaurants accommodate various food allergies. It offers some peace of mind for diners navigating sensitivities. It's very community-driven.
And finally, for those maybe looking for a good deal and also wanting to help reduce food waste, there's Too Good To Go. What's the premise behind that app?
Too Good To Go is pretty cool. It partners with restaurants, cafes, bakeries, and shops to offer what they call surprise bags of surplus food at the end of the day. These are heavily discounted, so it's a win-win. You get delicious food for a lower price, and less food goes to waste. It's currently available in many locations across Europe and parts of the U.S., and it's expanding.
Interesting. Okay, so to kind of summarize our deep dive today, being strategic when ordering food at a restaurant really boils down to a few key things, it seems. saving time by planning ahead, using those online resources wisely, effectively managing dietary needs through really clear communication, increasing your chances of discovering truly great dishes by leveraging server expertise and maybe local knowledge, and ultimately avoiding potential frustrations by just being informed and proactive throughout the whole process.
Absolutely. That sums it up well. By implementing these kinds of pro tips, you really empower yourself to be a more confident and informed diner. This not only streamlines the ordering part, but it also significantly enhances your overall culinary experiences, pretty much no matter where in the world you happen to be dining. It really transforms what can be a routine task into hopefully a more enjoyable and rewarding part of your day or trip.
Well said. And on that note, here's a final provocative thought for you, our listener, to consider. Considering just how much information is now available about restaurants online, I mean, detailed menus, endless reviews, photos, real-time updates on busyness, how might the very nature of dining out and the expectations we have as diners continue to evolve in the future? Something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Thanks for tuning in. Keep practicing, and for more English lessons, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.